Hello and welcome to a very special match. I'm recording this because I managed to street pass with Tony from Streetpass East Midlands, and it seems only fair to give the match against his team some proper coverage. I should state obviously that this being a street pass match, Tony obviously isn't present, so this is purely my data against his data, and he is not here to make management decisions and affect the way the game plays out, but let's see what happens. So let's take a look at Tony's team here. I have a fairly standard approach here to how I approach matches. Always worth having a look at what the lineup is and working out who the dangerous players are. He's got a striker there with a couple of C's. That's pretty good for a first league tournament. He's got a pretty fast winger there. But I think I'm slightly more concerned about his left wing, where he's got a player there with a C in technique and in strength. That's going to make him quite a challenger. Let's have a look at his back row here. He's got quite a strong defender there, so I think I'm going to keep an eye out for that defender. I'm going to keep an eye out for his left winger. I'm going to keep a close eye on this right hand forward. Okay. I'm pretty happy with my standard setup here for attack and defence. I'm generally set up as being fairly aggressive, and in terms of my zones, yeah, I mean it seems fine. It's not entirely apparent to me, to be honest, in the game quite how these zones affect play, but I seem to get some good results, so I'm quite happy with it. So in terms of my squad, so we're looking at his slightly stronger forward being on the right hand side, so I just want to make sure that my defence is lined up accordingly. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. We were concerned about his left wing, so I'm going to move Commander Thane here over to the far right wing in midfield, and I'm going to swap over my forwards, because Pietro's a slightly stronger forward than Havelock, and I think he's going to be a better challenge to that stronger defender on the back row. Okay, let's head into the match. So this is Elite Heroes, my team, versus Forever Foxes, Tony's. As you can see there from the fan stats, the prediction is very much kind of on my side. I suspect I might have got slightly further in the single player than Tony, so this might not be an entirely fair representation. Looks like Tony's won the toss there, so Forever Foxes kicking off. There's an early challenge there from one of Tony's forwards, but doesn't quite really manage to match the pace of my defenders. Kept in play there. Oh, an early free kick awarded to my team. Again, one of those things in the game, not totally sure what covers it. It's one of the things you don't really have direct control over in the single player, is how well your team behave, whether they stick within the rules. You can set it as a feature on your Street Pass team. You can say whether you want them to be aggressive or quite disciplined, but in terms of playing your own matches, not totally sure how well that's affected. Monica Katie there in goal. Tony was referred to as a safe pair of hands, but we'll see how that pans out. Vigo there managing to make a successful challenge in the midfield, pass to Havelock, one of the forwards, seems to be a little bit out of position. Jarrett crosses and headed away there by Johnson. Throw in for Elite Heroes. Havelock picks it up. I'll be interested to see where Canos is in the midfield, because he's always dangerous. I've had matches before where just don't seem to be going anywhere, and despite some of the reviewers saying they didn't feel they had that much control over the events of the game, and obviously I've perhaps said some of that myself. Oh, free kick here for Elite Heroes. Yeah, despite the feeling sometimes I'm a bit powerless in these management games, I've actually found I was doing quite badly against a side that I expected to beat, but I wasn't playing my kind of my highest skilled player, because he was showing us a little bit fatigued, and I've been playing him quite a lot. But after having some serious problems in the first half of the match, I subbed him in, and from then, here he is. Canos so he's beaten the defender, he's challenging the goalie, and it goes in. See, Canos always makes things happen, and that's the thing that's exciting about the effect of individual players in this game. Is that, when I subbed this guy in before, things turned around, and I was going from a 1-0 defeat, turned it around into a 4-1 victory. So really is, I think if you're not doing well, or you're not seeing the decisions you're making effective gameplay, you're probably making the wrong decisions. Picked up a training card there, so the training cards get picked up perhaps where your manager feels that your team aren't performing in a particular way. You'll get training cards that can then be applied to upgrade your players, and this is the main way that your team improves throughout the game. So bringing on Eden Bachelor there as a substitution. One of the things you need to keep an eye on in this game is that when the other team make a substitution, if you set players that you want to mark and they get subbed for another player, you are no longer marking them effectively, so you'd actually need to then make a substitution yourself in order to reassess the marking situation. I'm not too concerned at the moment. I'm going to wait for half time and take a look at the situation then. So the substitution here then, Eden Bachelor, already making a bit of an impression on the game, picking up the ball, a very impressive cross there from the halfway line, but picked up by Dallas, who is, my safe pair of hands. And Canos again there with, picked up the pass from almost halfway, put it almost straight in, very little faffing around needed with the defenders. My fans there very happy with the situation. I actually find that Canos, who's kind of midfield, I have him very much in a kind of centre-forward position, and I actually find he tends to score much more than my actual strikers do. Positioning plays a huge part of this game, rather than necessarily what the players are actually labelled as. So just 1 minute stoppage time there, and I imagine this is going to get wrapped up by the keeper fairly quickly. Yeah, once it's in the hands of the defender there and going in the other direction, they tend to just stop it. So taking a look at the stats in the first half, Foxes, they're actually slightly more accurate with their shots on goal, but obviously not able to turn that into a score. 1 offside given against us, 2 fouls against Forever Foxes, and the majority of the possession really sitting with Elite Heroes. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look at Tony's team here, because obviously a substitution was made in that first half. It looks like none of my marking choices have been affected by that substitution, so where is that play? Oh, so this is the substitution that's been made then over on the right-hand defence. Be interesting to know why the game picked that up particularly as needing to happen, but I'm pretty happy with things. Taking a look at my own team here, tiredness starting to set in on the left-hand side, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm not going to change it for half-time. I'm going to save those substitutions for the second half itself and see if I need to make any particular decisions. So Elite Heroes to kick off. Another substitution there for Foxes, bringing on another midfielder in place of a defender, so perhaps representing a slightly more aggressive approach to the second half. And picked up by Melchizedek. A bit of danger there, but fairly well handled. Just taking a look at the team sheets then. So this is my team, and you can see, I think this is where it's slightly reflected that maybe I've made more progress in the single player game. As you can see, there's a good spread of Bs and Cs in the individual skill areas there for the players. If we compare that with Forever Foxes, as you can see, only 1 or 2 Bs, still quite a lot of Es in play. So I think, really, I'm almost quite surprised that this is only 2-0. But I think, I don't think it's any criticism there on Tony's part that perhaps his team aren't getting a good score today. Ultimately, I think we've just got a bit further in the game. Yellow card there for Forever Foxes. E. Davis. Not totally sure who that is, but you should be ashamed of yourselves. So I'm just keeping an eye on my own team. We've got a couple of players there with fatigue setting in, so I'm going to make a substitution just to make sure, particularly where I am at the moment in the single player game, we're about to go into our first season in our newly promoted division. What I want to absolutely make sure doesn't happen is that we don't go into that with any injuries, because that would be bad. Okay, so having assigned my substitutions, it's now given me the option to change tactics, so I'm just going to see where I am with my marking. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop marking this guy because he's starting to get tired, and I'm going to mark the ones that have come on and are a bit more fresh. Okay, happy with that. So Forever Fox is there bringing on Jack Reed. We've got Fragland Faithful there. Not totally sure what Canos was thinking with that cross. I think he was assuming that somebody perhaps should be there. Davis and here making some good progress into Elite Heroes half, but Canos picking it up, taking it away. Doesn't seem to be being marked by anybody. Home looking for a smart cross from him, although he might just decide to run it all the way up the pitch. He was quite good, but he's not able to beat off the challenge there from two defenders. Oh, denied by the top bar. But picked up by Commander Thane and into the back of the net. Commander Thane, a slightly sneaky player. Normally set back a bit further in midfield, but sometimes you find he is in the place that he needs to be in order to make the score. Nico there comes off the top bar, picked up by Commander Thane, he's not offside, manages to push it into the back of the net. So we're just about 10 minutes to go here, 10 minutes of game time that is. Kicked off by Forever Foxes, comes back into Elite Heroes area, and Nasiva picks it up. And Canos is there, there's no defenders. That was always looking dangerous. I mean, if nobody is in Canos' way, he will score 9 times out of 10. Fantastic. Hat-trick there for Canos. But as I say, this is after 2 years of play in single player for the Elite Heroes. So quite a significant amount of training been done. Didn't manage to get promoted from the bottom division in our first year. You know, it's taken 2 years to do it. But really quite for this level, quite a skilled side comparatively. So at full time, it's 4-0 to Elite Heroes. So looking at statistics there. Yeah, Forever Fox is much more accurate there overall with their shots. Didn't make quite as many shots as Elite Heroes, but at the end of the day, I mean, possession was mostly in Elite Heroes half, and it was those, 4 of those 5 shots on target that ultimately contribute to the score.